We're going to make the frame for the front of the diorama. To do that, mark out the frame with a pencil. Very important to use a pencil because you're going to rub it out afterwards. So just mark out where your frame is going to be. I've actually made mine a little bit deeper at the bottom and I'm going to shape it at the top, but I'll come back to that. Now I'm taking the stamp of the conkers. There's two stamps actually. I'm taking the larger of the conker stamps and I'm inking that up with saddle brown StazOn, and I'm going to stamp it just over the frame, just over the corner and the bottom of the frame, so that the frame line is actually running right through it, like that. Now I've created a paper mask by stamping onto a sticky note, a little post-it note, and I've just cut that mask out. I've used it already a couple of times, and there's just enough tack on there to hold it in place. So we place that over the top of the conkers, and then we take the smaller of the two conkers stamps there, and again ink that up with the saddle brown and just stamp that to one side there, so that when you remove the mask you've got one behind the other. Still not finished though, because again I'll put that mask back on, and I'm actually going to stamp the mushrooms, or the toadstools, behind the conkers. So again, ink that up, and then I'm just going to position it so that they just appear behind the conkers there. Remove the mask like that. Now we're going to colour in this using, again, a mixture of pens and pencils. Pens are great for getting deep, rich colour, and pencils are great for getting that soft, shaded look. So I'm going to go over the conker area with a dark, warm brown, but I'm going to make sure that I leave that highlight intact, and to do that I'm just going to add dots, because that's how the stamp was originally designed, with dots fading into the white. So I'm going to do the same thing and just do some dots around it before I pick it up into more solid colour. So that I'm not getting a harsh line from the pen. So we're just intensifying the colour here. I'm going to leave that to dry, and I actually go over it 2 or 3 times with this pen to really make it a rich dark brown. Right, you can see how I've enhanced the middle of the conkers there, and it really does make them look much more vibrant. Now I'm going to colour the rest of them, and first of all I'm going to lay down a pale green sort of base. And then I can go over this with pencils to add some shading and depth to it. So once we've got some colour laid down there, I can go over that with pencils just to give a little bit of shading. So I'm going to use green and brown pencils. So here you can see I've just added some extra colour, a bit of depth and shading to the conkers there. Now I'm going to add some colour using pencils to the toadstools, and I'm just going to use pencils on those to give a light colour and sort of mushroomy colours. All coloured in, and one final step. To make those conkers look really, really shiny, I'm going to use the same technique as before, colour them with Versamark and emboss them. So I've got the embossing powder. So I'm literally just going to go over the middle bit. So just cover that with embossing powder. Tap off all excess, and then we'll heat that up. Now you can see that with the embossing you've got a nice real lustre on those concha centres there, and you'll notice that where I've just put the pen over you've lost the highlight on this one here, so just be aware of that and don't actually put your Versamark pen right over the whole thing because it's going to blend the colours in a little bit. Now the next stage is to cut the frame out, so I actually rubbed the pencil marks out over the stamped images but left them around the rest of the frame. But this is the bit that I'm not very good at. It takes me ages to cut these kind of things out with a knife. So rather than have you watch me struggle with that, here's the one that I did earlier. I'll just flip that over and you can see, here's the one. Now I've shaped the top of it, and what I actually used to shape that was Wendy Stenton's envelope template. This is the DL envelope template, which comes as a half envelope and you double it over. But it's got a nice scallop in the corner, and that scallop is what I've used to get the scallop in the corner of the frame here. You can see that, but it gets the black, you can see that there. So all we need to do now is put it all together.